Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Monday. I hope it finds you well out there. I hope you had a great weekend. You know, it's so fun. So many things happen so fast. I mean, if you think about where we were the last time we were here Friday, right? You know, we had a sell-off in gold. We kind of had a nice rally on Wall Street, and nobody quite, everyone's like, well, maybe we can get the great big deal out of Congress. And since then, let's see, our credit got downgraded. Yeah, well, I've been warning you about it. I told you it was coming. There's more coming, by the way. This time it was Moody's coming out and saying, hey, by the way, U.S. got a problem. They got a lot more debt than everybody else, and less people want to buy it. Gee, what could possibly go wrong with that? The Nuggets, right? They got eliminated in a Game 7. Scotty Scheffler, I mean, he's doing Tiger Woods type stuff now. Yeah, he is the PGA champion, and the weather was absolutely fantastic. Here in the in the Valley of the Sun. So I got the news, the sports, the weather. I got it all. I got it all taken care of in just 2 minutes. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. I'll just say very quickly, a huge update for those of you involved in Texit. For those of you thinking about getting involved in Texit, that will be coming in the second half hour. You're not going to want to miss that this week. On top of all the, like we just didn't give you enough with the downgrade of the big, beautiful bill. Didn't pass on Friday. Then we get a downgrade, and now we've got, kind of passed. They convinced, and this was only in committee. It hasn't even gotten to the floor yet. They convinced 4 Republicans that had voted no on Friday to vote present. Yes. No. Hey, I'm not voting yes, and I'm not voting no. I'm just going to vote I was here. I was here. I didn't cast a vote, but I was here. Right? It's like going into class. The teacher hands out the test, and you just decide, well, I'm not going to take the test. But I was here. I was present. Of course, what does that mean? Oh, it just means that they were sitting there telling people, don't worry. Oh, what don't you like? Oh, you don't like the salt thing? Oh, we'll fix it. What don't you like? Oh, you don't like what we're doing with Medicare or Medicaid. Don't worry, we'll fix it, right? A lot of that. A lot of people speculating this big, beautiful bill is going to be at least one thing, big. That's probably the biggest thing, but we've got that this week. Initial jobless claims got to keep, it's holding steady at this 229 the last few weeks. We get home sales, and we get a lot of Fed talk. Well, as a matter of fact, we already had one of them out. It was Atlanta Fed Chief Bostic saying that he's leaning towards one rate cut this year. So, at least he's leaning. I guess that's more than present. Funny part is no mention of the downgrade, no mention of why was the Federal Reserve buying $44 billion worth of treasuries and not telling anybody about it. And no one even asked them, is quantitative easing coming back? Right? Of course it is. I'll just say this right now. I think they're going to be forced to cut rates and do quantitative easing simply because, just like Moody's laid out, you got way too much debt and you don't got enough people that actually want to buy it. And Jason, the 10-year note took off this morning, right now at 4.5. So we're back to this 4.5 level, and it's going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out. The big, beautiful bill, how much did the Republicans, how much do they have to sacrifice to actually get it to go to the Senate? Remember, they only can have 2 Republicans in the House vote no, or present. Present won't work in that, right? They're going to actually have to vote yes. Present won't work. And then it goes to the Senate, which once again, right, they're probably going to change it as well. But this is where we sit on this Monday.
I heard that with what's getting ready to happen economically, that the printing is going to be $10 trillion this time. And the guy I was listening to is like, and that's just not going to be enough. So, $10 trillion, and that's probably is not going to do it. So, we'll see if this budget gets passed. That'll be the first part of it, right? How much money does the federal government need to print up and get going? And you said, what, you could have two Republicans can say no, and they can still get it, just squeak it by. Is that what you said?
Well, and that only gets it through now. So right now, all as they did was they've gotten it out of committee with these Republicans just saying present versus voting no. What we know is they've told these 4 Republicans, oh, don't worry, whatever it was that you didn't like, and we kind of know, right? We know. Hey, either your cut to Medicare, Medicaid is going to fall on my state. SALT deductions just aren't enough, right? All these things that are going to happen that I won't get reelected. So without that, I'm a no. But with it, the deficit explodes. We'll be back. 800-951-0592. The Dow is down 120 here. Not, could be worse. But they're smart, right? Hey, let's wait till Friday. Let's wait till after the markets, right? And then we'll say we've downgraded the United States. The S&P's down 20. The NASDAQ's down 100. The 10-year notice, we said 4.5. It's actually, I think it's been as high as, 4.55? On its way to 4.6. Not surprising. Crude oil is flat. Gold's up 32, 36 right now on gold. Silver is up as well, 32.35. Platinum's up an 8 spot, 9.96. Texit over $1 right now. Been as high as $1.06. Very, very heavy volume on Texit right now. And like I said, we'll have a big announcement here coming up in a couple of segments. So stay with us for that. But Jason, driving this market, obviously the downgrade coming from Moody's. They were the last of the 3, Fitch and S&P, to downgrade the U.S. from AAA. So no rating agencies now have the United States rated as AAA. And really, I'll say this. Shame on S&P. Shame on them. And what I mean by that is this downgrade I say S&P. I meant Moody's, sorry. This downgrade from Moody's, this thing's so late, right? Think about all the times that they could have done this. All the data, think about the Biden administration. The debt went from $1 trillion to $2 trillion to $2.2 trillion, right? How many debt ceiling problems, we're an emergency measure, but they waited till now to do it, right? And some people say maybe it was politically motivated. They wanted to wait to stick the downgrade onto Donald Trump. I don't know that it matters, because quite honestly, when they talked about what was going on, Everybody already knew, right, Jason? I mean, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, said, this is a lagging indicator, right? And I just laughed because you know what? He's actually right. It is lagging. Like, this is years lagging. Yep. But it doesn't change what the message is. And what they really said about this was, hey, despite the fact that we've been warning the United States over and over and over again, they simply continue on a path that A, is not sustainable, and B, they expect a significant increase in the U.S. debt between now and 2035. And, Jason, they're talking about debt levels of somewhere between 9 and 10%. And to give you an idea, by 2035, we should have an economy, because the dollar is becoming so devalued, probably in the 40 trillion range. So 10%, they're like, listen, you're going to be running $4 trillion budget deficits every year, and there's not a lot you can do about it because you simply refuse to stop spending, Jason. And listen, the Trump administration, they have a plan, which is what? Grow our way out, which essentially means what? We're going to spend more money, Jason. So I guess S&P or Moody's, they're late to the party, but they came to the party. They finally got it. They showed up late.
Well, it's all a matter, I guess, of opinions of what's going on and how bad it's going to get. We had the first downgrades on those other agencies were years ago. It's been working like clockwork. The national debt doubles every 10 years. So we're just about 100 plus billion under 37 trillion. So we're sitting in 2025. In 2035, we should be at 37 times 2. That's going to be 74 trillion. So that's 37 trillion in 10 years. So how much is that per year? That's 3.7 trillion. That matches your 4 trillion number, right? In 10 years.
I mean,
yep.
It's not even a hard bet. You know what? If you took away all the zeros, this is like second grade math. Honestly, that's what we're talking about.
And it's been going on.
It's not complicated.
It's been going on since the Federal Reserve first planted themselves into the seat of government in 1913. Joe, we'll have to play it again sometime, but that Don Fletcher piece where he goes through it, he's like, look, 10 years, doubles, and the amount of the value of what you have as far as cash, dollars, Federal Reserve notes, it loses value just as fast. And so, 74 trillion by 2035, Joe. That's what we're looking at. And, we'll be halfway there. You said 40. That means we'll have 40 trillion here in 2026.
Yeah.
By 2026.
I think, because right now, listen, we don't know what the debt level is because they're on this, thing. But we know it's closer to 38 than 37, right? We know we're over 37, right? How close to 38? And to Jason's point, it'll be 40 trillion pretty early on in 2026. We'll get a better idea once Congress gets something done. I don't even know if we should worry about what they're doing right now. I mean, if you look at where they're starting, normally, okay, this is as bare bones as we can get, because then to get people to vote for it, you got to put all the pork back in there, right? You got to get more pork in there. And already the Republicans, they couldn't do it, right? They couldn't get it done. They didn't have the votes. So already they've got to stuff it full of more what? Well, okay, we won't have the offsets that we wanted, but don't worry. All this they'll do, they'll adjust up the growth that they know they won't get, so they can tell you it won't be that bad. But wait till the Senate gets it. You think we're done with the House? I mean, this thing, and here's the thing, Jason, they don't have that much time because all the emergency measures, everything like that, they go, 6-7 weeks, and then all of a sudden they got a problem. So things are going to have to move quickly here. The quicker, the better. But, Congress, they're going to wait till the last second. It's like some really scripted pro wrestling match, right, where you got the two gladiators going at it. At the end of the day, you already know who the winner's going to be, but, you got to go through they almost win, right? The underdog almost wins 2 or 3 times, and then miraculously, right, they pull it out at the end. That's what I expect.
That sounds fair. That sounds right? Logical for sure, because that's, once again, it's funny how the news and all the numbers and all the fear and all the craziness when it comes to markets and geopolitics and all the things, but when it comes to this rigged money system, it's like a clock. That's how accurate it has been. That's why I could say in 10 years it'll be 74 trillion. It's been doubling every 10 years. That's just the way it's built.
And it has to, right? Because this is what, and my fear is, are we at this point now where doubling isn't enough? Because that's how the debt money system works. It used to be when the government spent $1, we'd get like 80, 90 cents of it. Right now, the government spends $1. We're lucky if we get 6 cents, right? I mean, that's the problem. And sooner or later, doubling's not enough, right? And this is why I think you're going to see it. I've been telling everybody, listen, we can fight it all we want. New money's coming, Jason. Oh, yeah. You know it. Yeah. I know it. And it's time that, I hate to say it, right? But we've got to accept what the fate is. And the fate is they knew they were never going to pay it. It was never designed to ever be paid back. And they are going to wipe out all but the very few at the top unless you've taken precautions and gotten yourself prepared. Jason, it's just that simple. That's what's coming.
In a debt money system, the system is built on debt. So if you paid off the national debt right now, see, Andrew Jackson paid off the national debt, but we weren't in a debt money system back when he did that. We are in a debt money system now. The Federal Reserve has created a money that is only built in debt. So if you paid off the national debt, the entire national debt, paid all off, there would be no money. You can imagine how America would be running at that point, Joe, if there's no money to actually transact. That's what happened in 2008. There wasn't enough money to keep the debt money machine going, and people were fearing that it was the end of this monetary system. And they just had to, create a magic trick and get everyone mesmerized and print the money up and say all kinds of stuff, right, Joe? And then magically everybody it's all faith-based, right, Joe? It's the Federal Reserve system is the Federal Reserve note, that one that, if you get a piece of paper money and it says Federal Reserve note across the top of it, it's faith-based. It's the most successful religion in human history. It only is successful because people have faith in it, right, Joe? And right now there's some entities out there that are trying to push the, hey, we shouldn't have faith in it, worldwide and domestically. And I don't know, Joe, when it comes down to it, I mean, what's the alternative, right? There's no alternative right now. The few countries out there that were trying to push against it, they're being wiped out. It's all going to be this, it doesn't matter if it's a yuan or if it's a ruble or a euro. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. It really is the same thing. They're different. They trade different values. It's the same thing. It's centrally banked debt money system. There is no alternative. So, we're going to, Joe, you said, well, at some point we got to more than double it. But I don't think so, Joe. What it is it just gets scarier, because to double from 5 trillion to 10 trillion, do you remember how scary that was? Bush Jr. and and he had the war going on.
Well, we had the war going on, right? Well, the towers came down.
Once again, you have to have that distraction. But going from 5 trillion to 10 trillion was scary. And then Obama came in. He took it from just under 10 trillion, took it to just under 20 trillion. He doubled it in 8 years, which is just a little, faster than that 10. And it was scary, right? So these moves you're talking about, Joe, these are huge moves. But as a percentage, it's still the machine doing exactly what it's been doing. I mean, going from 37 trillion in 10 years to 74 trillion, that's a lot of money. But that's a lot of trillion. But it as a percentage, it's exactly the same as the 5 to 10 and the 10 to 20, the 20 to 40. It's the same. So you just get everybody all riled up and worried and crazy, and you got a bunch of fat cat families that sit there and they're not worried about it, Joe. You think the Rothschilds are sitting there worried about what the numbers are today?
Right. Yeah.
No,
they don't.
They just got to make sure that they have government-controlled puppets that keep their system in place. That's all there is to it. That's what we're in.
Ray Dalio from Bridgewater was out again today. By the way, did you see he went big into gold, over $300 million, saying, hey, these rating agencies, they've got it all wrong. He goes, you should know that the credit rating agencies understate credit risk because they only rate the risk of not paying. See, now we have a printing press. So technically, we can pay. Right? Well, how? Well, look at the Fed. Well, we didn't have enough people at the Treasury auction last week. What did the Fed do? Oh, well, here's $45 billion. Yep. I dream of genie. Blake. Oh, it's gone. Dalio says what the big problem is that the risk that the countries in debt will print more money to pay their debt, causing holders of bonds to suffer huge losses. Why? Well, because the money they hold isn't worth the paper it's printed on. 800-951-0592. Gold's up $32. $32.36. $20 gold. Listen, we're going to keep things hot here. $33.95 on a $20 gold piece at 800-951-0592. And you heard Ray Dalio. Listen, the rating agencies, they only focus on, okay, can you pay? And, of course, Dalio's like, that's not the problem. Of course we can pay because we have a printing press. The problem with our printing press is the people that are holding this debt. Think about this if you bought a 10-year note 10 years ago. Okay, it's getting ready to mature. You bought that 10 years ago. You probably got, well, I know this, you didn't even get 1%. They got 0.5%, 0.75%. And you're like, man, what a crappy deal that was. Right? Held on to this crap for 10 years. And, God, I've lost 30, 40% of my buying power, it feels like, in 10 years. And now they're like, well, hey, sorry about giving, the finger the last time, right? But here's the good news, right? Hey, we're going to give you 4.5% now. How about that? Does that work? And that's where Ray Dalio goes, see the problem? Because that's not going to work. Because why? Well, just look at the debt numbers. Are we trying to rein it in? I'll say this. At least the Trump administration is saying stuff like we got to spend less money. I mean, that is an improvement, right? I mean, they're not actually doing it, but it's an improvement, Jason.
Isn't that what Reagan said, though, that they were going to spend less? And then he blew everybody out of the water with his spending? Isn't that what happened? So, I mean, look, there's a budget. The government's going to pass a budget. And part of that budget, they're going to talk about all this crazy stuff on the budget. Oh, should we pay for this and should we pay for that? But I bet the government's not going to talk about how much interest debt payments are on that spending bill, right?
Yeah.
You can spend like crazy as long as you can fund it, right? Who cares what the interest payment is as long as the government passes a bill that says, yeah, we'll pay $5 trillion a year in interest payments. No big deal. Just we won't talk about that one. We'll talk about the military budget. We'll talk about Social Security. So as long as they can fund it, as long as the debt money system cranks it out, and somebody out there is willing to buy the treasuries, like I guess the Fed, maybe they'll just buy the whole market up again in the next economic implosion, which would be a $10 trillion print up, which from what I was seeing is Probably not going to be enough, Joe. 10 trillion.
Yeah, I have no confidence whatsoever that any of this is going to resolve, because it's not supposed to. I'll be honest with you. This is the trick. This is the evil part. This is actually how it's supposed to work. This is how debt money works. You know, and I tell this story. People don't, you know, because they don't teach you in your history books. Oh, taxation without representation, the Boston Tea Party. Right? They dressed like Indians and threw the tea into the bay, right? You know what that was really about? It was about fiat money. That's what it was about. They told all the colonists, you guys got to use this script paper. Did they deliver, right?
We always say that, Joe, but the colonies, the British Empire took money out of the system. No gold, no silver, even copper was starting to leave. And they said, well, if you can't pay colonists, we'll just take half your field or half your mine or half your business. So they did colonial script, which actually worked. So here's the thing. They printed up colonial script, and then the British sent over counterfeit by the shipload and destroyed their fiat currency. And so it would actually work. Fiat currency could work if the responsible parties in control of the money kept it responsible, right, Joe? And that's not what happened. You know, Benjamin Franklin, the Pennsylvania script, you know, it was working really good, and here comes a boatload of fake script, and it destroyed it. And really, what Joe is saying is right. It wasn't about taxation without representation. It was that they didn't have money circulating. Not enough money. You know, it's funny how we print these trillions of dollars, and everyone's running around this country with not enough money. You see how interesting that is?
That's a great point. I mean,
so that's what
think
happened.
About it. Everybody's like, we got all this money printing. People are making more money than you could have ever would have imagined, and yet everybody's broke, right? I mean, that's what happens. That's what is going on, and I'm telling you right now, there's no end in sight to this. $3,200, $3,300, $3,400 gold. Are you kidding me? Listen, by 2035, what do you think we're going to be talking about? Honestly, what do you think? I'll be on the air going, right? I'll be old and decrepit and be like, gold's $10,757 today, right? I mean, I think that's probably low, right?
See, Joe, during COVID, they had and it happened in the Bush Jr. years where they sent out these little payments to the people to help them, right? So if you print up $1 trillion and hand it to the people to help them, that gives 350 million people $2,800, right? So that's probably what they'll do this next time around. They're going to have to keep people from starving to death because they know that's when they're going to come after the bankers, is if they're starving to death. So I guess this next round we're going to have 3,000 or maybe 6,000. Maybe they'll print up $2 trillion and hand it to people, which will cause the inflation.
Well, they'll do it. They'll do $1 trillion here, and then next quarter here's another $1 trillion. It may be a quarterly stipend for all we know.
Yeah, and they don't give money to every single American. They try to do it to the taxpayers first, things like that. But here's the thing. I mean, $1 trillion, do $2 trillion. That's about $5,500 per person. You could probably wean that down to people you don't pay the money to. So $5,000. So I think we'll probably see, there's this big emergency, the war with Iran or whatever it's going to be. And then, we have to print this money. And economically, they hacked our system. It was hackers, whatever it's going to be. But we'll get you $5,000 to get you through. That's what it's going to end up being, so that people don't starve to death. and then it'll just keep on going, right, Joe? And then, of course, that'll cause more inflation, which moves us quicker to that 10 years and another 37 trillion, putting us at 75 trillion 10 years. It just keeps on rolling, right? Just all a part of the plan, right? It's all a part of the plan.
It is something where when we look at what is happening here, it's hard to imagine. It really, really is. It's sad. With the amount of debt we're going into this year, God, we should have an economy that's growing like 5%, right? But we're not. And here's the thing. The strategy is print more money. And as long as that's the strategy, you better get diversified. $20 gold pieces, $33.95 at 800-951-0592. Big announcement from Texas. Coming higher rates. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Monday. Again, $20 gold pieces, $33.95, $3,395. And, of course, if you want to get in on Texit, you call the same number, 800-951-0592. Last week, on this day, I told you Texit set a record. They had the largest single sign-up day in company history, the largest sign-up week. Fast forward a week, that's a new record. Largest single sign-up day in company history, largest sign-up week in company history. Obviously, the price, right? Texit at $1 right now. Listen, there's risk, right? We say this. This is a chance at, hey, a redo, a Bitcoin redo, right? There's that chance that this could come to fruition. And when we start seeing the mining growth, that is what we are looking for, because that gives depth to the market, that gives credibility to the markets. Volumes have taken way off as far as people buying and selling Texit. It's been way up. And now, here's the news. Here's the big news. We're going to be at miner 5,000 this week. Remember, I was miner 3,000. Okay. They're anticipating that by the end of June, they'll be approaching 15,000 miners. That's a huge increase in the amount of miners. I want to remind everybody, this is not infinite. Based on the latest projection now, miners will be over with by this time next year, and I actually think it'll be sooner. And what does that mean? That means there won't be any more miners. In other words, they have a cap. Hey, the mine produces this much power. We don't want to produce any more power than this, and we're at that level. Think about it. You're locked in for the rest of your life on this, and nobody else. By this time next year, we won't be talking about Texit mining. We'll say, hey, you can buy the shares, right? You can buy the coins.
Buy the coins.
Right? Yeah, you can buy the coins, but you can't be a miner anymore. You can't be in this program where every day you get coins.
The other thing could be that, people still want to get in and they can't. So you might start getting some people bidding on your mining shares. You know what? I know you bought in at 1,000, but I'll give you 5,000 per share. If it's busy and if it's working the way it looks like it is going to work, then there might be people tapping your shoulders like, I'd like to get one of those mining shares. $5,000. I mean, it just depends. It depends on the demand and the success of the program, and it's looking really good right now.
Well, right now, they have a $16 target. That's the mine being completed.
$16 per coin.
Per coin. Yeah, per coin. Think about that. And then after that, it's okay, how much use do they get? The more people using it, the more it's going to be worth. It's just that simple. A big announcement on top of that, as if that wasn't enough. Starting June 1st, no more buy 3, get 1 free. Buy 6, right now you get 2 free shares. That's going to go down to 1 free share June 1st. If you buy the 9-pack, right now you get 3 free shares. Starting June 1st, you will only get 2. And I'm going to tell you right now, at the end of June, don't be surprised if it all goes away. And it's real simple. They're like, hey, we don't need to incentivize people anymore. They get it. They see where we're coming from. So if you're going to get in, this is the week to do it. You got to remember, next week's a holiday, right? We're going to be closed next Monday, and then you only got a couple of more days, and then all of a sudden, it's the beginning of June. So this
Joe,
is it.
Joe and I will have to reconsider whether we're going to be giving an ounce of gold for a 3-pack at that point, because it's becoming more and more valuable to get these shares. So we'll see what the gold price is.
That's a good point.
When this happens, you may have to be an ounce of gold and 5 ounces of silver to get the 3-pack, or 2 ounces of gold and 10 ounces of silver for the 9-pack or the 6-pack, and so on.
So just keep this in mind. If you're going to do it, jump in here, right? Look, you take a $3,000 shot. That's something where, hey, if this thing goes and it really takes off, right? What are you talking about? Hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're buying 9-packs. Let's buy a 9-pack. Hey, you're hoping to take $9,000, turn it into $1 million. I mean, that's the goal. That's the goal. And is this Bitcoin 2.0? We don't know. But the potential is there. The amount of people behind it. You know, we had the founder, Bobby Gray, on the air. This guy, you know, he was a big Ron Paul and him had a very good relationship. When Paul was on the banking committee, he's the one that brought Bobby Gray to Congress. I mean, this guy has been fighting for money, and I hate to say it. Listen, look at what just Moody said. It's almost laughable. New money is coming. I get it. Well, I don't want technology, and I don't want to be spied on. It's already here. Let's get in front of it, and let's enrich ourselves, or at least try to enrich ourselves while doing it. 800-951-0592. Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Monday, giving you the update on Texit, just to give you a flavor for how people feel about Bobby Gray and Texit in the digital community. Next weekend, there's it's the World Digital Mining Summit. It's going to be held in Las Vegas next weekend. Who's the keynote speaker of this event? Yeah, you guessed it. Bobby Gray and Texit. Take a shot here. Call us. 800-951-0592. They are breaking records as far as miners concerned. They have now informed us that best case scenario, the mine will be full this time next year. What's the worst case scenario? It's full this year, right? So once the mine is full, no one else can be a miner. Why do you want to be a miner? You get coins every day. For how long? Well, the mine won't be empty for 136 years, like Bitcoin. Bitcoin's mine's not empty until 2140, just too expensive to mine it. But that is where it is at. And remember, this is the last full week. Buy 3, get 1 free. Buy 6, get 2 free. Buy 9, get 3 free. Starting June 1st, you won't get anything free until you buy at least a 6-pack.
And the people in Texas, Bobby, they didn't have this program when Mike Morris started. You know, he had to buy a 3-pack with no bonus. They're figuring out how to move this forward. And what I think has happened, Joe, is across the country, Texas heating up. So they don't need to have these incentives anymore. They may never come back, Joe. I think they're probably going to melt them away, and it's just going to be the way it is. I would not hope that it's going to come back, because it sure looks like it's moving fast and furious, Joe.
Yeah, well, and again, like I said, it's pretty obvious. You see it at $1.01. You know, think about March 27th. It was 45 cents. They're talking $1.25 to $1.50 by the end of the month. I don't know. What does that mean for June? I don't know. $3? I don't know.
I mean, Joe, when we came in on this,
the minor pace continues, yeah. And you know, when we get into, listen, it's still risky here. But when you get above like $5, that usually means you've kind of made it here. And they expect that to happen this summer.
When we first came in, we were talking, hey, if you had $10,000 of Texit at 50 cents, that $16 target early next year till 2/22 is their target day would be $320,000. Well, now we're at $1. Just like that, it's $1. Now your $10,000 gets you to $160,000. So you're starting to see very quickly it gobbles up these ridiculous gains. There's still going to be gains to be made, but it is one of those where we found it early. Mike brought it to us. We're going full bore into this thing and trying to get as many of you guys signed up as we can. It benefits us to sign you up, but it benefits you to sign you up because it's an investment that's going to pay, Joe. And I would say most people sign up are going to see their investment back in 110 days.
Just to let you know, we've said this. No one gave us anything. Jason's in. I'm in. Our families are in. My aunts, my uncles, my brothers, my nieces, my nephews. That's how much I believe in this thing. 800-951-0592. Pacer Radio News Hour. Jason and I, we're going to be right back with the half-empty cup. Stay with us.